Okay. Here we go. The time is now 6:30. Members present, Brendan Lang, Alders Madden and Lorman, Don Noor, and Charles Myers, Chair. First item on the agenda, quorum is present. First item on the agenda, the minutes from 6/10/24. Are there any corrections that members would like to offer to the minutes? Going once, going twice. I accept the minutes as they have been submitted by Sean. Thank you, Sean. Next item number 2, Foundry 2/1630 Aspen Commons, traffic impact analysis approval, PC-2653. All right.
Right, and so the short version is there's no big surprises, no regional improvements that they identified as being necessary. There is one movement that suffers a little bit because of added traffic, but it's a private driveway of Deming up at Terrace Avenue. And the queue is so short as to be meaningless effectively. So they're not recommending anything be done with that. They did make 3 other recommendations in sections 7.4 and 7.5 that amount to making sure that a crosswalk on this private street gets painted as an extension effectively of the east-west sidewalk that cuts through the Greenway Station parking lot, removing one parking stall that's shown in the diagram on Aspen Commons. And then suggesting several others would also be in a site triangle, but not necessarily recommending strongly in favor of their removal. And especially on a narrow private road like that, people may be going a little bit slower anyways. So they can feel their way through the relative hazard of that. And then just to provide additional accessible parking stalls internal to the structure that they're proposing for ADA. Those are the staff recommendations to approve the report with the developer to pursue those recommendations from the TA.
I'll move to approve the traffic impasse analysis approval with the 3 provided recommendations to the developer.
Second.
All right. The motion to approve, subject to the 3 staff recommendations. It's been moved by Alder Madden, seconded by Don Noor. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. On to next item on our agenda, Franklin Ave Reconstruction Agreement for Design, Engineering, and Bid Services 24-122.
Right, and at this time of year, it's not always easy to find somebody, but we are blessed to be in an area with lots of really good consulting engineers. So we did have a couple that had a high level of interest and turned in proposals, which we thought were well written, responsive, would certainly take care of our needs. This is not an incredibly difficult project. You know, like any infill, there's nuts and bolts and fine details, but nothing earth shaking that we're expecting here. Most of it is water main replacement and new pavement, to say it simply. And so staff is recommending that we propose to the Finance and Personnel Committee and Common Council entering into an agreement with Veer Bicker Associates per their proposal.
I'll make that motion. Agree with the staff's recommendation, hire Veer Bicker.
Madden will second.
All right, we have a motion from Don Noor, seconded by Alder Madden. there any further discussion? Brandon?
Yeah, you said there was 2 proposals submitted?
Correct, yep.
So how did you select the one that you're recommending or the staff is recommending?
We mostly were looking at making sure that all of the scope was taken care of, everything that we could reasonably foresee now. And I think one of the biggest things will just be making sure traffic and cross traffic works, but they both included that there will be a traffic control plan for phasing this. And then we looked at hours to see if the overall feel for hours seemed appropriate. And often enough too, we'll take the overall cost proposed and divide that by the number of hours proposed, just to see if they're on relatively equal footing overall with a per hour cost, if you will. And they were both in a pretty good range that way. I think the other proposal just had a lot more hours in there than we think it probably will need for the design. That's always a little bit hard to say. And it's not an exact science that we've laid out a specific schedule for. But we have worked with both of these companies before, and we know that they both will do a good job and not skip something or miss something major. So we're very confident that Beerbicker will have this covered.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it sounds similar to the last time we approved a recommended A&E firm to go with. So I was just curious, it's something similar to what I do at work, and the process, your selection process sounds very similar too. So thank you for the additional information.
Cool.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, we have a motion by Don Moore, seconded by Alder Madden, to recommend the bid of Beerbicker Associates for design and bid services, not for this project at a cost not to exceed 36,000.
Actually, it's a proposal.
Proposal,
Not a
yes,
bid.
you're right. So motion to recommend that the committee recommend to Finance and Personnel Committee and Common Council to enter into an agreement with Beerbicker Associates for the design and bidding services for this project at a cost not to exceed 36,800 per their submitted proposal, contingent upon city attorney satisfaction of the pending agreement form B. Based on the city's standard template, funding for this work is allocated in the 2024 budget. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Next item on.
If I could interject, just because I noticed Dan is on the call anyway. Dan, our city attorney changed just one phrase in the indemnification section, so I'll highlight that and send you a new agreement form tomorrow. I know the one we sent out with the proposals did not include.
Okay.
Pretty innocuous, but I want to be fair about giving you a heads up that there is one phrase.
Okay. No worries. Thanks, Sean. Thanks, everyone.
Yep. Thank you for joining us. All right, item number 4, Red Tail Ridge First Edition Phase 2 Final Plat PC-2628A.
Yeah, so the next 3 really go together. We always do the plat, plans, and agreement together because they're related to each other. A change to any one of them changes the other 2. We usually wait with the city developer agreement till sort of last because it needs a bunch of numbers from the plans. So until they're done, or at least almost done, it's difficult to write the agreement. It's just end up changing. So everything got done to a condition, I would say, that's ready for conditional approvals. That's what's before us tonight. None are without red ink. But I think the red ink is in the minor category. And that's why I brought it here. I know the committee in the past has said, don't bring things in for final approval till it's ready for final approval. We also in the past have said, well, if it's close, and so I understand that's a judgment call, and my judgment, even though there's several comments left, none of them I would say are really substantive, and that's why I brought it here. And it's for consideration. If the committee does not agree with me on that, that's okay. It doesn't step on my toes. But that's where I'm at. So we'll start with the plat, and if you want to see any particular pages, that's fine. The staff recommendation is sort of encapsulated with these 4 bullet items for contingencies. And number 1 is just take care of whatever red ink is left. And we can go over that piece by piece if you'd want. Approval of plan drawings, because again, they go together. Approval of the city developer agreement, because that goes together. And then receipt by the city of the covenants that are required as part of the city developer. So the plans have some certain things, the plat has some certain things, and those get rolled into a recorded document that gives any potential buyers a fair heads up on some issues, like that there's a nearby airport or that certain sanitary sewer laterals are deeper than typical. And because they're private, the buyer would want to know that. So we try to roll some of those things into covenants. So I'll pause there and see if there were any questions on the plat document itself, maybe, or with the recommendation.
This follows right along with what we saw before, correct?
This is much like phase 1 from Red Tail Ridge,
Yeah.
which was also conditional.
But we saw preliminary of phase 2, if I remember right, and
Oh,
made some comments on that, and
right.
it follows along with those
Yeah.
comments.
Exactly. We previously as a committee talked about things like, should this,
Yeah.
road allow these road spacings and those sorts of things. This incorporates all of that. The
Okay.
curves have been updated like we talked about.
Okay,
That's all done.
okay.
Those were more major items. Yeah.
So when I look at this document, first edition plat, where you just have the magenta circles and red boxes and text, this is the stuff that you're saying is the red ink.
Exactly.
And
So
then
it's mostly housekeeping stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm seeing here. Increase changes font, remove
Purple line.
a purple line. I mean, so none of it is structural to the actual design and layout of any of this. It's just, like you said, it's really grammatical stuff.
Drafting, right?
It's grammatical
Instead of
drafting?
designing.
Is it grammatical drafting for us non-drafting engineering kind of people?
Mhm.
Right, so
Okay.
some of it's just legibility things or line work things or.
Yeah. What's Brandon think?
It's drafting. That's what I'm seeing too. I'm not seeing any significant changes on here. Like Sean said, I agree with him with that.
I'm good with it then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks good. There's just one, like, I think there was like on the curve table, there's a 330 radius that you have redlined as 333.
Yeah. Well, and did you look at that already, Wade?
Yeah, I think that's just a typo, guys. We'll update that.
I thought it was too. I think it was maybe looking at a 60-foot right of way or something instead of a 66, one of those things. So.
I see something about a catch basin moving. Is that moving outside of a park? Is that page, what page was that?
That should be more on the plans, I think, instead of the plat.
Oh, did I get too far ahead? Okay. Never mind.
Or did you have any questions, Wade? Anything that was unclear about this?
No, I don't think so, Sean. We will clean this up with the DOA comments and get it right back to you. Should be easy.
Okay.
All right, does anyone have a motion they'd like to make
Okay,
or any additional comments?
Oh, no more comments from me. I'll make a motion if I can find the language here.
Oh, let me go back. Well, I can show you the language I suggested.
All right, I move that we recommend to the committee or recommend to the Common Council to approve the first edition plat, Red Tail Ridge first edition plat.
actually, second edition, right?
Nope, it's the
The
first
first
edition,
edition?
which is phase
Phase
2.
Oh, okay, okay,
The first plat was just called
Okay.
Red Tail Ridge.
all right.
And Brandon, you wanted that with the staff comments, just the staff comments resolution and the other bullets, or did you just want approval?
With all bullet points included.
And the deferred effective date of the 31st of July?
No,
That's-
it's deferred effective upon
Oh,
taking
okay.
care of those 4 bullet
Okay.
points, just not later than the end of July. Is that fair, Chad?
That's fair, that's fine.
I thought you, would be done well before then.
All right,
I'll second.
we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed, hearing none, motion carries 5-0. Next item, item 5, Red Tail Ridge First Edition Phase 2 Plan Approval.
Right, so this is similar. I think there are a few things here and there. There's one sheet that we're just flat out missing. That's similar to the phase 1 that we looked at last year this time. And we decided as a committee to approve the plan drawings contingent upon staff satisfaction with the street lighting plan. There's just a lag involved with that sub-consultant. For a reason that escapes me. I've been out of consulting for a while now. But that seemed to work. It's at least a somewhat independent sheet. It does need coordination with the tree planting plan and with the utility plan, but that can all be checked out, at a staff level, I think. So that still has to be turned in, or a set of drawings turned in, I'll say. And then taking care of red line, and getting the plat and the city developer together. Because it's one of those 3 documents. So that's the nuts and bolts of it. And you had a question here now, Brandon, about the a catch basin.
Yeah, it said that there was a note about moving it away from a park.
Page 14 of the,
I think it was a temporary.
Shift location of
Temporary
temp.
basin. Yeah.
Oh, right, I remember that vaguely. It would have been down into this temporary area where it's just on one plan sheet, right? Here.
Clifford Road.
So can that be massaged then, Wade?
Shift location.
Yeah, it can be massaged. I believe that's the temporary sediment basin for erosion control. So it was not a permanent feature.
Okay.
When you say temporary, what do you mean? Is that built out of?
The recommendation we always give the contractors, once it's 70% vegetated, fill it in and final grade it.
Okay. I guess what we wouldn't want is anything that would overlap between residents moving in and their enjoyment of the park. And I don't know when the park staff is intending to build or do anything. But that would be the only reason that I wrote that in there.
Yeah, and I think if I look at the sizing calculations as a temporary sediment basin, I have the flexibility to move that, make it skinnier and fit in there better so as not to impact the park. So that's option A. Option B is is what I referred to first.
Okay,
I think I'd be more comfortable with it if it did impact the park. Even on a temporary basis.
okay. I'm not sure if our mic picked that up well enough for you, Wade, but the chair just expressed a preference for option A.
Sounds good, guys. We'll make that happen because I can tell already we got the room to do it.
Oh, okay.
Great, thank you so much, Wade.
Other questions on plan things? No, it's kind of a lot of pages.
Yeah.
Dance break. You're kind of missing the vibe in here.
Looks like on page, whose page number?
They are in the corner.
Oh, I'm looking at the packet, not the agenda. It's 0-5.1. Yep. No, I don't get to it. So for example, you have on there, if a riser will be constructed with certain sanitary sewer laterals, please designate them here. To me, that seems like it's still an unanswered question.
No, I think Wade already knows that there will be risers and he knows where they will be. That's actually one of the covenants that ends up getting recorded. So that a homeowner of, I'm just gonna pick a number now, lot 74, right, knows, oh, the sewer's pretty deep in front of my place. If I ever have to repair that, they may have to dig a deeper than usual hole. And that might cost a little bit more than my neighbor's costs.
Yeah, and I would add to that too, Sean, that we have all those sheets and that list you requested updated. We just didn't make it in press time for the meeting tonight, and we can provide those first thing in the morning or even yet tonight.
Yeah, I figured you already know where they all are, so that didn't worry me at all. I can appreciate that the committee wouldn't know that, though. It sounds like it could be time consuming.
So it's not really if riser will be constructed, it will be sanitary laterals will be designated.
Right, so I wrote this at one time and then several hours later we talked and found out, no, it's this other thing, but I don't go back and say, oh, Wade already knows, So I was kind of asking a question and then he answered it, and
Gotcha.
it's a good point, though.
As I'm learning in this new position, stuff we decide and remember today, nobody's gonna know about 10 years from now.
Things change.
And if it's not written down,
Oh, yeah.
we'll scratch our heads 10 years from now and go,
Yeah,
oh man, we gotta start over.
Yep.
It's better to have more information now than less. That's all, whether we use it or not.
Well, if we don't put it in the plans, the contractor can't use it. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Go back to your motion language. You know, if only I could read.
Yeah.
I make a motion that the committee approve the public improvements plan drawings with a deferred effective date of approval upon completion of the items listed in the agenda. So all we need is have to go to city council.
Plans do not.
Okay.
No.
All right. So we just approve them. Okay. That's my motion.
And I will add, I don't know how many other city staff have already given this a thorough look. This version of these drawings came in on the 17th. in time for me to look at them and get them in the packet on the 20th.
And they'll send you the revised plans once they get the lighting layout and
Yeah,
how they coordinate other utilities with the dinky wires that run for the lighting.
exactly. Yep. And I'm not expecting other staffers or
Mhm.
comments, but I don't know for a fact
Yeah.
that there won't be one or two.
Yeah, lighting is always a backhoe finder.
That's how you
Or
get
the other way around, one of the other.
I've been there. Those wires come up. The guy in the bucket doesn't get happy.
No,
Why in the bucket?
okay, that's my motion.
Okay.
I will second Don's motion. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. And so we are now on to our next agenda item, item 6, Red Tail Ridge, First Edition, Phase 2, City Developer Agreement 24-114.
Right, so up top, there are 3 issues that are really policy issues. They're similar to the phase 1 issues that we dealt with on that plat. Number 1, High Road, which is along the west side of the phase 1 plat, was already previously agreed to, let's split the costs in half and collect half at a time. The other thing that we decided in that plat was instead of collecting a fee as a deposit for construction phase services, instead of collecting 5% of construction costs, collect 3.5% upfront. Because this is such a big number on construction costs, we don't need as high a percentage. And so that worked out well, I would say, in phase 1. We haven't audited phase 1 yet, but I think that worked out well. So I would recommend that we do that again here for phase 2. It's not our standard, but we tried it, and I think we're doing okay with that. And then sort of analogous to High Road, we've got this plat abutting part of Pheasant Branch Road. The city has not set a desirable cross-section for the future of Pheasant Branch Road. We're not at this point proposing any developer deposit toward future improvements of Pheasant Branch Road. But typically the city has collected that kind of deposit so that if Pheasant Branch Road were to say get reconstructed in the future, every one of these lots could have paid part of that cost instead of just the ones who abut Pheasant Branch Road. And so I think it would be prudent to defer action on that to the next phase. And maybe at that point, we'll have to pump the brakes a little and figure out what, if any, improvements we want on Pheasant Branch Road. And if so, if we're going to try to collect some sort of deposit at that time, or bank on no future improvements to Pheasant Branch Road in this stretch from the city. And if it happens far into the future, assess the costs, and that's the way it goes. So that'll be a policy decision. And so we could do that now, but we'd be waving a magic wand and pulling a number out of the air because we don't have a cross section on which to base an estimate. Or if we defer it to the future, we have kind of option A, which is collect a fee, or option B, which is skip it.
So if we do it now, and it dramatically changes before then, we are left holding the bag.
Correct.
As opposed to deferring and having a more firm number as to what we're going to charge.
Yeah, I would hesitate to say we should pick a number without picking a design.
There's no way, because no, what's going to be on there, and I agree.
That makes sense.
Well, you could pick a number now and then also pick a number later, adjust later again, right?
Well, except we're doing it by frontage and then waive in future assessments.
Oh,
So maybe we could, because it's a negotiated number, not an assessment. But it might get a little bit more convoluted. So you're right, that is an option.
okay. I
So-
definitely feel like we should defer tonight, like not make a decision on it tonight. I'd like to get more information and maybe about if there's a past project that we could use as an example. I know this situation is probably a little bit different because of the rural nature of that location. But yeah, I'm not sure I want to make a decision tonight on that.
Yeah, well, and that's part of what I was noodling with is what even would it be, right? Because Dane County's conservancy is across the street and we've got, I want to say 4 town parcels of just private residences notched out of this plat. You know, so
It
we're
turned
not.
into Springfield too, right? At some point there.
Let me think about that. Yeah, it would. Right, so. Yeah, so there are some complicating factors to just what is our desire. We have to marry that in with other agencies too. And that's where I ended, like, well, if we're gonna get this project rolling in a reasonable time period, we probably should have been thinking about this earlier, and I wasn't.
I don't really think we have enough information to make a decision on bullet point right now in terms of the amount of money. So I think we should probably defer consideration. And Sean, what's a timeline for us to revisit?
I think the phase three is probably the next best opportunity to look at it.
Okay, and we can absolutely have something ready in phase 3 then.
Well, that becomes a memory-based question, doesn't it?
That's why I'm
But
thinking.
We'd
At
probably
least
be in a
if-
better position, phase
Yeah.
3 than we
Yeah.
are today.
I could write it into the agreement that says this will be revisited in phase 3.
Yeah,
That
well-
might remind us.
I think that would be good
Yeah,
to do with Henry, but that's the next bullet, the next item on the agenda, is the agreement.
Well, but I would write it into the phase 2 agreement, because we always go back one and reference that and
Yeah.
say, what did we do that time?
yeah, I'd be more comfortable with this, I think, if we wrote that in.
And I got a little sidetracked here. And then the third issue is just revising Exhibit D, which is the phasing plan, and including a note on it that at some point, reasonably soon, we're gonna need water looping. Right now, this is a dead end water service coming off of High Road for phase 1, and phase 2 will extend that. So we'll have another 114 homes on that dead end water loop. Water main, sorry, without a loop, so that if something breaks at an inopportune place, everybody downstream of there is out of water until we fix it. In brand new main, that's not a very high risk. So I'm not unduly concerned with waiting on this till phase 3, but I think in phase 3, we should look at making sure there is a secondary water connection. We do already have a new copy of the phasing diagram for Exhibit D. I just wasn't able to get it together in time to share it with you.
Sean, what do you imagine that future state to look like? Maybe a loop going around to Pheasant Branch Road, like connecting High Road and Pheasant Branch, or how would that look?
Oh, well, we know from the utility plan that it's actually going to be internal on Hooded Merganser Drive. That'll be a 12-inch main because that sort of parallels Pheasant Branch Road, just internal to the development. And that will be our major future north-south regional loop, I'll call it. But even just internal to Red Tail Ridge, I want to make sure that these northerly lots have a secondary source of supply that's reasonably connected. And having seen the new Exhibit D just briefly, I think there's an opportunity to do that in phase 3.
Is there any pushback from, developers on this type of thing. Where they say, no, we don't need that loop, we don't, because.
Usually required in phase one. Um,
Or we set the precedent with Bishop's Bay.
With Bishop's Bay, we actually did set that in phase one and allowed it to be deferred till phase two.
Yes.
And then 3 and 4,
Yeah,
5, 6.
until recently, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 6 got it done.
So that was again a precedent that we set already to allow this type.
We did do that.
Yeah, and I guess. It's because, I see the kind of. Feedback comes from a developer on these types of requests. I think it's just, again, really important then that we make it crystal clear. This is going to happen.
Well, it's absolutely going to happen. It's a matter of when.
That's right, but
Yeah.
that message has to be so clear. Where the developer doesn't get any false sense of saying.
Well, and I think most, want the residents to be happy and safe, right? They want to deliver a good product. And part of that is, whether the residents know it or not, reliable water.
Yeah, I don't think the residents get that type.
No, but they trust us to look at that from their perspective. And that's why I think, most developers want that to happen too. They don't want water just on the good days. They want water on the bad days.
So if we,
Do we assign a number to the phase or just leave it future then?
Well, I need to take a better look at this new phasing diagram and probably chat with Wade some, but it looks like in 3, we could get a secondary source in there.
Can I jump in here?
Oh,
If I
yeah.
don't mind. I'm Chad Whitman, I'm the developer. The plan always was to do this in phase 3. We could have originally looped back to High Road, but we were asked to provide more of a regional water system by rehooking up to a different source and running 12-inch line through our neighborhood that would eventually feed other north neighborhoods. And a lot of that's off our site, so it's fairly expensive. So I needed a few phases to try to earn some money in order to pay for that offsite improvement. Does that make sense?
It does.
Since that point in time, and this, you're probably not aware of it just yet, but someone has now contracted for land that's also along that corridor. So the world is changing a little bit, and maybe some of the expense, and it's an expensive pipe, might get spread out amongst more houses, which is better for everybody. But I fully intend to have this dealt with before we start phase 3. In fact, we're going to start working on those plans right now, just to give everybody a really advanced heads up, so we're not rushed at the end.
Okay, good.
great, thank you. So let's,
Change that to language to phase 3. Say that.
I would keep it phase 3 that way. He's saying before, but which is great.
Yeah.
So I think that
But
this
in
is
this phase 3 where I think.
to agree to the needs to be brought up to council too, in some way, shape or form. I'm not arguing with that. It'll be in phase 3. That's my plan, but I think it's a policy question that might be a little bit broader than just right here, right now. So.
Yeah, well, how about if we can recommend that the council endorse as a policy issue, including on the phasing plan, a note similar to what was in phase 1, that the common council does not endorse the phasing plan for development beyond phase 2 with water
That's
looping
fair. I
likely
think
in
that's
phase
perfectly
3.
fair. Yes, look, we gotta have a conversation, so let's just.
And then at least instead of the far flung future, we'll say there's an intention for water looping in phase 3. Okay. All right, so Of these three issues, the staff recommendation is that we would refer to, Finance and Personnel Committee and Common Council. The developer paying 3.5%. Deferring Pheasant Branch Road. Payment. And then. Not endorsing the phasing plan beyond phase 2 with the water loop connection, water looping intended in phase 3.
I'll make that motion as stated by Sean.
Second,
All right, we have a motion from Alder Lorman. I think Brandon's hand was slightly faster than Don's voice.
Oh.
Seconding, unless you
No,
were raising.
no.
Oh, you
I
had
was
you
just
had-
gonna ask, I think I missed, I was just gonna ask if you could repeat it. Sorry to make you repeat it.
Oh.
but
Oh,
One more
sure.
time, Sean.
Yeah, so this is just on the policy issues, not about the agreement itself, but what's in the agreement, which would be that the committee will recommend to the Finance and Personnel Committee and Common Council, including language in the agreement that says the developer will pay 3.5% of construction costs as a deposit for observation. That will recommend deferring collecting payment for the portion of Pheasant Branch Road, future improvements abutting this plat. And that they won't endorse the phasing plan beyond phase 2. With the intention that phase 3 would see the water main looping.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I agree with all those.
Okay.
Okay, so actually we had a motion from Alder Lorman, a second from Don.
Yeah. I did second.
Yep, and do we have any further discussion? Going once, twice, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 5-0.
Then get to the agreement contingencies itself. So with those changes made to the agreement, staff is recommending that the Finance and Personnel Committee and Common Council approve the agreement with changes based on those three policy issues. Verification of the number of streetlights when we have the drawing. Confirmation from Abby Attoon, who's our Economic Planning Director, Planning Department, that the park fees are all as expected by her. An update of Exhibit D, which I already have. Receipt of DNR permits for water and sewer. Oh, I don't see Wade anymore. Shoot.
What would you like to know, Sean?
I'm sorry,
What would you like to know?
whether we got those DNR permits for water and sewer?
Well, we have to get through MMSD this week, I believe, and then we'll have those
Oh,
permits.
okay. So they'll be here soon.
Yep,
Delivery of the SWIMSMA, I haven't tracked
the
this.
swim spa?
I'm sorry, the Stormwater Management System Maintenance
We
Agreement.
will, yep, it's all ready to go, but we kind of waited for the agreement to be done and we can bring it all in one swift bell swoop.
Okay. But that's all in process with Eric Sorensen,
Absolutely.
ACES, all right. And then the surety and fees that go with the agreements, the plat, and the plans.
So all those things are listed in the motion then?
They're in my recommendation.
Well, no, but I mean, if we make a motion, we would list all. the
I would
items
put
as well.
9 things in there, yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna read those again. I'll make the motion.
All right, we have a motion. We have a second for Don's motion.
Bad will second.
Okay, so we have a motion to recommend to the Finance Personnel Committee and Common Council approval of the agreement with a deferred effective date of approval upon completion of the listed bullet points in our agenda. Right, Sean, was that
Correct. Just those 9 things. Some of which are done, but.
No, that's fine. They're still in the
Yep,
motion and
exactly.
if they're done, they're done.
They'll
Yeah.
be checked off.
all right? Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Alder Lorman, I didn't hear your voice. Did you?
I said aye.
Okay.
Say it again.
I heard,
Thanks.
my hearing
Trying
aid
to-
on that side works
Trying to
really
vote
well.
twice, eh, Dave?
Hey.
Nice.
More often.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
And now we're on to agenda item 7, discussion of reports from committee liaisons. So what I had in mind when I proposed this was not an exhaustive, detailed report from all committee liaisons, but a standing agenda item where if there are things that the committee liaisons think are pertinent to this committee's interests that have occurred in the committees that they serve as liaisons to, they can flag those for us, and go a little bit beyond what may be recorded in the minutes. It's not an obligation, just an opportunity for better communication and questions if there are any.
So let me give you a for instance. Last week, we had bear with me, Water Resources Management and Stormwater Utility Commission meeting.
We're coming up with an acronym for that. You're not gonna like.
It's, no, it's this long. So anyway, we had a whole bunch, it was probably one of the most simplest agendas there ever was when we elected the chair and the vice chair, and there are just continuations of who was in charge of water resources the last several years, which would be Wilkinson. Oh, I'm sorry, Gerber as chair and Bakuber as vice chair. And they were appointment of committee member to Conservancy Lands Commission. That turned into a boondoggle because, first of all, we have Susan West on this committee and she's also on that committee, the other one. And yet they're supposed to then appoint coordinator with this committee. And we said, no, send it back to the city, let them figure out what we really want to do there, because we don't know. We talked extensively about the stormwater utility referendum, which you on common council are aware of. Basically, they're going to double for a single homeowner. And then how is this actually going to work? Because the majority of the residents now in the city live in apartments. Do they even care? Well, they care, but they'll look at that, oh my God, it's going to double. Are we going to vote no?
Oh, we got the language ironed
I
out
know, well, okay.
on that.
And then the question was, okay, let's send it back to council though, and legal, does this cover us in the future so we don't have to go to referendum, the city council can just approve a rate change? We want to make sure that the referendum indicates that. So that was it, and then we discussed future items, which included digital billboard for the referendum, saltwater use, Springfield stormwater report update. In other words, they're doing the stormwater report, what's happening there. And evaluation of the fee versus actual installation of a stormwater facility for new developments.
Oh, yeah.
Because we now have, if I were a developer, I'd build that lot so full I couldn't put a stormwater facility in, and then I'd go the cheap way and pay for it and get out of it. But anyway, that's discussed. But anyway, that's the whole thing. And frankly, there was nothing in there related to public works. Literally, I mean, so it would be, well, no report. I mean, it's not like, well, we're going to cut across the road with a storm sewer. I mean, then that would have to come here anyway. Sure. So my question is, okay, you said things that pertain, but nothing pertains. So this month it would be.
Yeah, and that would be a really quick agenda item for that particular liaison position.
Okay. All right, so that was easy. I was just curious.
Yeah.
When you first came up, I'm like, holy, do you care?
Mm-hmm.
Or if the committee cares that much, read the minutes.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure every older person reads the minutes of every committee report before they go to it.
So
Right?
maybe not everybody.
So anyway, yeah, I was just curious how that would all go down.
Yeah, I wish Carrie were here because I'd imagine.
Well, she's got bikes and pet, and yeah, that's probably more involved than
Yeah,
this is in most cases.
Yeah,
most of their stuff's in a right of way someplace.
Yeah,
yeah. So, and it's helpful to have when there are things that impact what we do here
Mhm.
that take place in other committees, it's helpful to have somebody from that committee say, FYI, we're discussing this. This is the substance of the discussion beyond the minutes, so that
yeah.
we don't have to do what I've been doing, which is YouTube at 1.5 times speed to watch the to watch the meeting.
Okay, then I'm fine with it. That's fine.
Yeah, I sometimes even think just in the minutes, if I were able during a meeting to just jot down what time of day it is that we're starting an agenda item. Cause I could write that right on there and then you could skip ahead in the video to an hour 15 in, and just know that that's when we're gonna talk about that.
No,
Not-
not tonight.
Not tonight.
No,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Cause I've sat through those too and I'm thinking like, have I gone too far? Am
Yeah,
I not far enough?
so, and I have a pretty good judge of what's important to Public Works as opposed to the whatever that committee is, the acronym.
Yeah, we're about to say it.
Yeah, I
We're
know.
not there yet.
Big
We'll
water.
need some more vowels.
It's dealing with the rain and all chemicals involved. That's the biggest problem, dealing with that. Anyway, okay.
Brandon, you're the other liaison present. Do you have thoughts you'd like to?
On how we do the reporting.
Yeah,
No, I kind of agree what you guys were saying. I mean, there's some stuff you can't get from the minutes that would be interesting to hear, report back on, like our individual thoughts on a particular topic. That might be good to report out on, like how the conversations went. But I think I like the idea of keeping it brief. Like there's probably more, maybe just talk about things that are more impactful to our committee here. So, but I think all those things have already been said.
okay, awesome, thank you. So are people comfortable with me adding this as a standing agenda item to our meeting?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
We haven't heard from Carrie, but that's okay. I'm sure she'll be fine.
all right, I don't really think we need a motion on this one. Since you don't,
No,
all right,
Sean has to add it to his notes that it's a standing agenda item.
yeah. Yeah. And I think that wraps up our discussion on this agenda item, so. Future meeting agenda items, no discussion or action. Brandon,
No.
Alder Madden,
No,
Alder Lorman. Nope. Don,
Nope.
I have none. We have reached the end of our notice agenda. The meeting is adjourned.
Excellent. Have a good night.
Night.
See you, Brandon.
See ya.
It's